We typically describe a country as a massive bureaucratic machine, a complex network of agencies, laws, and borders running like clockwork. But a nation does not operate like a piece of equipment. It breathes, it consumes, it adapts. To truly grasp how a country functions, you have to look at it as a living, biological organism. If we map geopolitics to human anatomy, the physical borders, the factories, and the government mean absolutely nothing on their own. They are an empty shell until you add the life force of the citizens. The people inside the borders are the soul of the body. And the government? The government is simply the brain. It is the central control organ that reacts to external problems and makes daily management decisions. It is not the purpose of the organism. It is just a manager. Mapping a nation in this way provides a framework to track the health of its internal systems and identify the warning signs of a collapse before it happens. This diagram shows how a nation's geography maps to the human skeleton. The land provides the structural shape, the firm borders, and the physical framework that holds every other system in place. Along those bones, factories and heavy industries act as the digestive tract and the muscular system. They take in raw natural resources, like water and minerals, and convert them into actual, usable energy and national wealth. To transport that energy to every individual cell, the body relies on its bloodstream, currency. Money circulates continuously throughout the organism, carrying life-sustaining value to every active tissue. A nation can sit on vast reserves of raw materials and boast incredibly strong industrial muscles. But if the bloodstream stops flowing, energy cannot reach the cells, and the entire physical system shuts down immediately. The ongoing process of converting resources into energy is the economy, and crucially, the economy is the body's metabolism. It operates entirely separately from the brain itself. This flowchart visualizes a capitalist system, functioning as an automatic metabolism. Private businesses and consumers operate on supply and demand, exchanging energy at the cellular level, bypassing the conscious brain. Compare that to a communist model, where the central brain attempts to manually control the digestive process, rerouting every flow line to dictate exactly which cell gets which drop of blood. Historically, this conscious control fails. The brain cannot process millions of biological signals at once. By bottlenecking resources, the system exhausts itself, leading to systemic starvation. Most modern nations rely on a mixed economy. The digestive system runs automatically, but the brain steps in to manage life-saving emergency reserves and regulate public health functions to ensure no part of the body is left to die. An efficient metabolism provides the raw power to keep moving. Yet, a body running purely on instinct and energy will quickly injure itself if it lacks higher-level sensory input to guide its actions. To prevent the brain from making toxic, self-destructive decisions, the body requires specialized internal warning organs. The media functions as the five senses. They observe the internal state, monitor the external environment, and transmit facts to the mind. The judicial courts act as the body's pain receptors and its moral conscience. If the brain forces the hand to reach for a hot stove or attempts illegal actions, the pain receptors scream a warning to stop before permanent structural damage occurs. Without active senses reporting the truth, and without pain receptors enforcing limits, the brain operates completely blind and numb. A body in that state guarantees its own destruction. This leads to the final test. How do we trace the hierarchy to see who is actually in charge of the body politic? This vertical diagram outlined the chain of command in a healthy democracy. Notice that the soul, the citizens, sits at the absolute top of the chart. The rest of the body exists entirely to serve them. In this healthy state, the brain remains at the bottom of the hierarchy. It takes its orders directly from the soul through elections, and it strictly obeys the boundaries set by the pain receptors above it. Now watch the hierarchy in an authoritarian dictatorship. The body develops an autoimmune disorder. The brain goes rogue, forcing itself to the absolute top of the chain of command and severing its connections to the oversight organs. This footage illustrates the clinical symptoms of that disease. the rogue brain commands the body's white blood cells, the military and the police, to turn inward, swarming and attacking the nation's own healthy tissue to maintain absolute control. To avoid feeling any guilt or hesitation, the rogue brain artificially blinds its senses by censoring the media, and it deliberately numbs its pain receptors by corrupting the courts. In this diseased state, the hierarchy is completely inverted. The soul loses all authority, the citizens are stripped of their power, reduced to existing purely as biological fuel to keep the rogue brain alive. Authoritarianism carries a fatal structural flaw. By silencing the media and numbing the pain receptors, the brain cuts off its own warning systems. It no longer recognizes when the body is in systemic danger. A blind, numb organism cannot react to external threats or internal bleeding. The damage simply accumulates unnoticed until the entire system suffers a sudden, total collapse. A nation can possess an incredibly wealthy economy and a massive, heavily armed military, but the body will still die if the brain decides to attack its own cells. A truly great nation survives only when its internal hierarchy remains intact. The system functions because the brain remembers its purpose: to protect, nourish, and serve the soul.